Good morning. You are welcome to another edition of Import Export Platform Facebook Live from 3T Impest Trade Academy. Thank you very much for those sending birthday wishes. I appreciate your love. I appreciate your gesture. And thanking God for another year. And also believing Him for greater exploit to serve humanity in the coming year. We'll continue our conversation on starting and managing export business, and today we are looking at part 50. And remember, we are still discussing letters of credit. Just by way of remembrance, letter of credit is an undertaking of the buyer's bank, giving to the seller, giving assurance of payment when shipment is made, and documents are presented that conform to the terms and conditions of the letter of credit. Letter of credit is an undertaking of the buyer's bank, giving to the seller, giving assurance of payment when shipment is made, and documents are presented that conform to the terms and conditions of the letter of credit. Starting and managing export business. Now, sorry, I have an interruption. Adile Yadiola Abiodu, thank you very much for joining. Good morning. How are you? I was trying to define letter of credit. Letter as an undertaking of a buyer's bank, giving to the seller, giving assurance of payment when shipment is made, and documents are presented that conform to the terms and condition of the letter of credit. And that's very important. I'll keep going back to the definition because, sometimes people also don't know who are those who are party to a letter of credit transaction. Sometimes people don't know who are the parties to a letter of credit transaction. And that's very important because at the end of the day, many people are unable to know. You will be thinking that party to a letter of credit transaction is the buyer, the seller, the importer, the exporter, and you've been thinking of a number of people that you think are party to the letter of credit transaction. But you know what happened? You just only discover that most of the people you think are party to a letter of credit transaction are actually not a party to a letter of credit transaction. Let's go back to the definition. A letter of credit is an undertaking of the buyer's bank, giving to the seller, giving assurance of payment when shipment is made and documents are presented that confirm the term of the letter of credit. That means simply that a letter of credit is an undertaking, right? Undertaking of who? Of the buyer's bank. So, number one person in a letter of credit transaction is the buyer's bank. That undertaking is given to the seller. So, second person to be considered in letter of credit is the seller. You will notice in that definition there is no other person that is mentioned. Buyer's bank, seller, and that is all. Buyer's bank, seller, that is all. And that is very instructive. That's very instructive because the mistake people make is to think that buyer's bank or to think that someone else, like, okay, some people will say a letter of credit, one of the parties to a letter of credit is the seller's bank, for example. Some people will say part to the letter of credit is not just seller's bank. Some people will say is exporter's bank or importer. In fact, some will argue a lot about importer, and I understand the argument. The argument is that, after all, who actually initiated this conversation to transact in the first place? Is it not the exporter that initiated the importer that initiated the transaction? And then can you say that the person that initiated the transaction is not a party to the transaction? And that argument is logical, but it's not in line with the definition of a letter of credit. Remember the definition again. A letter of credit is an undertaking of the buyer's bank giving to the seller, giving assurance of payment when shipment is made and documents are presented that conforms to the terms and conditions of the letter of credit. So if you are into international trade, having a good understanding of this becomes extremely important for you. Not to just think that, oh, because so and so is because this is the importer or this is the exporter's bank, then they are party to it. So invariably, a party to a letter of credit is the person issuing it, and number two, the person performing. By party in this definition, we mean who are the obligating parties. By party in this definition, we mean who are the obligating parties. By that we mean who are those that are expected to perform an activity. I mean, if they don't perform that activity, they become obligated, as in they become obligated. It's a major obligation for them, such that if they don't perform that activity, that might mean a major challenge for them. What am I trying to say? A letter of credit is an undertaking, and the people that perform that undertaking are people that have obligation in that transaction. A letter of credit is an undertaking, and the people that perform under this undertaking are the people that have obligation in that transaction. And this is extremely important for us to understand the fact that a letter of credit is an undertaking. And that in this undertaking, the person that is expected to perform an action. That means if the person does not perform that action, it becomes obligated. So it's very important we understand the fundamental issues regarding a letter of credit. So what we will discuss today is discussing the different types of letter of credit. Different types of letter of credit. The first type I will look at is the confirmed and unconfirmed letter of credit. Remember that we've talked about confirmed and unconfirmed before now. A confirmed letter of credit is a letter of credit that have double obligation. That means as a beneficiary in a confirmed letter of credit, two banks are giving undertaking to pay me. Two banks are giving undertaking to pay me. That means if I'm shipping to a place like Venezuela, or I'm shipping to Syria, or I'm shipping to a place that have a political and economic risk, I can ask for another bank in another country to give additional undertaking, and that led to the concept of confirmed letter of credit. I can ask for another bank in another country to give additional undertaking, and that led to the concept of confirmed letter of credit. You know, there is this wrong conception about confirmed letter of credit, especially about exporter in Nigeria. Some exporter thinks that because the bank receive a letter of credit on their behalf and give it to them and stamp it, signing it, authenticating that they received it, they see that stamp is confirmation and they see that as confirmed. Confirmation is not signing or stamping by the bank that received the LC. Confirmation is another bank in another jurisdiction giving a additional payment. So, for example, if I'm shipping from Nigeria and I'm shipping to Venezuela and I get a letter of credit from Venezuela, but letter of credit passed through US and Citibank New York give additional undertaking. And Citibank New York give additional undertaking. As soon as Citibank New York give additional undertaking, that has led to the concept of confirmed letter of credit. As soon as Citibank give additional undertaking, that led to the concept of confirmed letter of credit. That means the fear that I will not get paid in Venezuela, if that fear crystallized, I will not have to worry. I will get my payment from United States, from Citibank New York. Another bank in a different jurisdiction giving additional undertaking. Now, the second type of letter of credit is called revocable and irrevocable letter of credit. Revocable and irrevocable. Now, I must say at this point that the word revocable letter of credit should not be used again. Because the word irrevocable letter of credit should not be used again. Because that word is now redundant. Because every letter of credit is inherently irrevocable. Every letter of credit is inherently irrevocable. every letter of credit is inherently irrevocable. That basically means that a letter of credit does not have to say that it's irrevocable, because by nature, because by design, because by the way it is structured, a letter of credit, it is inherently irrevocable. A letter of credit is inherently irrevocable. And that is so critical and so important. Knowing fully well that a letter of credit is inherently irrevocable is a very, very vital information that we need to know. That means that I don't need to say, my letter of credit, I need a revocable letter of credit. No. That's tautology. That's not acceptable. Every letter of credit is inherently irrevocable. That means that, who are the parties to the letter of credit again? Remember the parties? The issuing bank and the exporter are the parties to the letter of credit. When you say it's irrevocable, that means parties to the letter of credit cannot pull out without the consensus among the parties. An irrevocable letter of credit means that parties to the letter of credit cannot pull out without a consensus among the parties to the letter of credit. If it's a confirmed letter of credit, the parties will be issuing bank, beneficiary, and the confirming bank. If an unconfirmed letter of credit will be issuing bank and beneficiary. Issuing bank and beneficiary. And this is so important because it's very important that you have a good understanding of the instrument you are using. It's very important you have a good understanding of the instrument you are using. Inability to have a good understanding of the instrument you are using means that you will be unable also to maximize the potential of that instrument. It's irrevocable means that no party in that transaction can wake up tomorrow and say, we are no longer interested. You can't do that. Why can't you do that? Because it is irrevocable. Now, before the last rule, the last UCP rule, UCP 600, all LC are either revocable or irrevocable. So I have a choice at that time to make my LC to be either revocable or irrevocable. But that is no longer the situation now. Why? Because that's no longer the situation now, because the new rule says every letter of credit is inherently irrevocable. Every letter of credit is inherently irrevocable. And that is so important. That is so important. So that means I don't need to say that my letter of credit is irrevocable. I don't need to say it. It's not necessary again. Because by saying it or not saying it does not make any difference again. In those days, when it was revocable, of course, I would say that I want an irrevocable letter of credit. In those days, when letter of credit was revocable. In those days, when letter of credit was revocable, I will have to say that, oh, I want a letter of credit that is irrevocable. But in today, if my letter of credit is issued, as of the time it is issued, it is irrevocable. I cannot go back on it as a bank. And the beneficiary, if you immediately accept it, will not be able to go back on it also. That means for any decision to be taken on that letter of credit, we must reach a consensus. We must reach a consensus. You know what that has done? That has made it a lot easier for letter of credit to be now well secured. That has made it to be a lot easier for a letter of credit to be now well secured. And that's very important. That's very important. Because now, letter of credit is well secured. Now, letter of credit is well secured. Why is letter of credit well secured? Letter of credit is well secured because in today's day and age, UCP 600 tells me that my letter of credit is inherently irrevocable. Now, I'm taking time to emphasize this so that you can understand the implication of that irrevocability. Because if you are the one that issue it, you can't pull out. If you are the one that have accepted it, you can't pull out. So as an exporter, before you accept a letter of credit issued in your favor, please check it very well. As an exporter, before you accept a letter of credit issued in your favor, please check it very well. You know why? If you do not check it very well, what that means is that at the end of the day, you would have accepted a letter of credit that you are not okay with. You would have accepted a letter of credit that you are not okay with. You would have accepted a letter of credit that you have concern with. So that means you now have the opportunity to check letter of credit very well and then be sure that you are okay with it. Be sure that you are okay with it. You know why? Immediately you accept it after you are advised. Immediately you accept it after you are advised. I'm sorry to say, you will not be able to pull out again. You will not be able to pull out again. You will not be able to pull out again. Immediately you accept it. You will not be able to pull out again. Immediately you accept it. So you must check the letter of credit you have received as an exporter against the terms you agreed. So the question is this. When we signed this agreement, what about the term we agreed? We agreed that shipment will be done 3 months. In 3 months. That was the agreement. Shipment will be done in 3 months. If that is the agreement we had, then I will go and check on the letter of credit. What is the gap between the latest date of shipment and the gap between the latest date of shipment and the date of issuance? If it is lower than 3 months, I will reject the letter of credit. Because in our contract, shipment is supposed to be done 3 months after you have given me the LC. LC make me to, I'm not asking the LC, I start the preparation. If we say the LC will expire in 6 months after issuance, that was the agreement on our contract. Then I will go and check again. If we say the price of this item is $1,000 per carton, after I get the LC, I will go and check again. As an exporter, you have the obligation of checking every terms and condition agreed in the signed contract against the letter of credit that has been issued before you officially inform your bank that you are accepting the letter of credit. If you go ahead to accept the LC and then you came back and say, no, you are not okay with the particular term, after you have accepted, sorry. After you have accepted the LC becomes irrevocable. When it becomes irrevocable, we must reach a consensus for any amendment to be made. After the LC becomes irrevocable, we must reach a consensus before any amendment can be made. We must reach a consensus before any amendment can be made. And this is so critical, this is so important. If we do not reach a consensus, then we cannot make amendment on the letter of credit. And this is demonstrating the irrevocability of a letter of credit transaction. This is demonstrating the irrevocability of letter of credit transaction. The next type of letter of credit is called usance and cite. Now for revocable means, look, if anybody said they are not interested, nobody can stop them. Irrevocable means if anybody wants to cancel or amend, they will not be able to do it without the agreement of the other party. Revocable means if anybody wake up and say they want to cancel or amend or pull out, nobody can stop them. Nobody can. All they need to do is to make their intention known and nobody will be able to stop them. Usance and cite letter of credit. Usance is another name for tenor. Tenor and side letter of credit. What is the difference between tenor and side letter of credit? The two of them are talking about timelines. The two of them are talking about timelines. Side letter of credit means that as soon as the letter of credit is presented, payment will be made within 5 banking days. Under a side letter of credit, payment is expected to be made within 5 banking days of presentation. In a side letter of credit, payment is expected to be made within 5 banking days of presentation. Within 5 banking days of presentation. Within 5 banking days of presentation. This is so important. This is so important. This is so important. What this is saying is that if a bank receives an LC, a document on LC today, it will start counting tomorrow. After 5 days of receipt of that LC, it's expected to pay as long as everything is in order. Is expected to pay as long as everything is in order. He is expected to make payment as long as, when I mean in order, I mean the documents are compliant with the terms of a letter of credit. Remember our definition of a letter of credit. Letter of credit is an undertaking of the buyer's bank, given to the seller, giving assurance of payment when shipment is made and documents are presented that conforms to the terms and conditions of a letter of credit. That means when documents are presented, it must conform with what does the LC says. What is the document says? What has the LC said? What is the document saying? What has the LC stated? What is the document saying? These are the things the bank will have to examine and determine before payment is made. These are what the bank will have to examine and determine before payment is made. These are what the bank will have to examine and determine before payment is made. And this is very critical. This is crucial and this is very, very important. Very, very important. Very, very, very important. User's LC. User's LC is called tenured LC. Tenured LC is of 2 types. Tenured LC can be tenured by acceptance or tenured by deferred payment undertaking. When an LC is tenured, it can be by acceptance of a draft. So that means when an LC says it is tenured, it will either say it's available by acceptance or available by deferred payment undertaking. What does this mean? Acceptance means that the exporter will issue a draft, sign up the draft, and issue it to the issuer of the LC, the issuing bank, to accept that he will pay at a later date. That draft he has accepted is independent of every transaction surrounding it. That draft can make the exporter to be able to seek for payment from anybody who is interested before payment is due. It can help him to seek for payment before anybody is interested before payment is due. That is why that draft is also very independent. Let me tell you something about draft. When a draft is issued, if I'm going to accept it as a bank, that draft must give me the date of maturity. That draft must give me the date of, so that means without asking the exporter, without asking his bank, without asking anybody in that country, the rule says that that draft should be able to give me when it will be matured for payment. That draft should be able to give me when it will be matured for payment. And you know what? The draft typically will be matured for payment 30 days, 60 days, 180 days. That actual date, I don't need to, if you say 60 days from bill of lading date, I don't need to go and be looking for bill of lading because I might not be part of a transaction, so I don't even have access to the bill of lading. the draft should state that bill of lading date so that I can easily determine it. It can also be accepted by deferred payment undertaking. What does that mean? An LC can be available under tenure by site. An LC can be available by deferred payment undertaking. An LC can be available by acceptance. If it's available by acceptance, like I said, to require draft. If it's available by deferred payment undertaking, the bank simply send a message via SWIFT. SWIFT is Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. SWIFT is a machine or an application that is like it's like financial services email that financial institutions use to send among themselves to communicate financial information of credit, on debit, on guarantee, on trade instrument, on finance instrument, and the like. That instrument will be sent by the bank to the exporter's bank, importer's bank to the exporter's bank to tell him that we hereby incur a deferred payment undertaking and we are going to pay sometimes in the future. We hereby incur a deferred payment undertaking and we are going to pay sometimes in future. We hereby incur a deferred payment undertaking and we are going to pay sometimes in the future. And that becomes a major issue and major challenge that avoid the major issue and major challenge that could evolve if it's a draft and the maturity cannot be determined, because the draft then becomes discrepant. Remember, any document presented in letter of credit transaction is either compliant or discrepant. Any document presented in a letter of credit transaction is either compliant or discrepant. In this case, the document becomes discrepant because maturity cannot be determined on the draft. I'll be rounding off now, and I'll continue in the evening. And you know what? We are still going to be discussing types of letter of credit in the evening. I still have about 5 different types of letter of credit to talk about. We have discussed about 6 types now. We have discussed confirmed and non-confirmed letter of credit. We have discussed revocable and irrevocable letter of credit. We have discussed usance and side letter of credit. And later in the day, we'll be talking about the remaining part of credit. Remember, we come up every day 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekday, 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekday, and on weekend, 8 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday, in the evening, 8 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, in the morning, 2 p.m. on Sunday, and 7 a.m. on Saturday. My name is Dele Ayimba. This import-export platform, Facebook Live from 3D Import Trade Academy. Remember, this video is going on YouTube, and you can always have access to it on YouTube to watch and share with your friends. So we recommend you help us share with your friends. Visit our YouTube channel and subscribe. Drop your comment. Click the notification bell. And share. Thank you very much for listening. My name is Dele Ayimibo. See you in the evening by 6 p.m. and bye for now.